faces. We start with sketch photo, and it's this one with the girl with the split screen here, Photolab. Photolab is the app that you'll need to download. And then you go to search and type in sketch. Whoops. Pick that top one, and the one that works really well is this filter here. And then you just pick a face. Let's see. All right. That's a good one. Okay. And it's going to process it. I got sick of the ads after doing 20 kids, so I paid for the upgraded version. Okay, so then I'm going to hit the arrow at the top here and the arrow that points down to save it. Then I'm going to go over to this app that has the red hair and the eye, and that's called Clip to Comic, CLIP number 2 comic. And I'm going to pick his picture, and then depending on the light and how you want it to look, because we used flesh colored crayons, and so the portrait was the best for some of them, but some of the kiddos who had a whole lot of sunlight on the picture or really, really blonde hair, we needed to go with that realistic to bring in some of the depth. For him, it really works out with the black and white or the other. And then you can go to edit, and if for any reason there was any color left over, you could adjust that saturation and take away all of it. It'll turn it black and white. Even more if there was any hint of color left. You can mess with the contrast to get the best detail. And highlights don't typically make, oh yes they do, it was something else, sorry. I guess it just depends. Shadows are the one that doesn't make a whole lot of difference. That's what it was. Okay, and then the black point can really help bring the details in, especially if you're dealing with blondies or a ton of sunlight on the photo. And then you save that. Okay, and then the next app that you go into is the blue background with the paint palette, and that's UDoodle Pro, which I think you can get the UDoodle for free as well. So import, and definitely want to pick edit, not draw on top. You want to pick edit. Go to camera roll, pick the one that you want. And they could totally just cut it out, but to save on ink and to help them define the lines of cutting, I went ahead and cleared out the background for them. So for me, the eraser works really well for that. And I just would start with a really broad stroke to get most of it. And for the girls, it can get tricky because you got to go around the hair. But it makes it a pretty quick work, especially with the boys. And then you want to do just a kind of a close around here. Some of them we did or could have, I'll go back and show you. Depending on how you draw it out, you might want to leave the neck on, but the trachea does attach. So it's up to you. You could have the trachea kind of go over this area here, or you could just take the neck out. But if you're the one preparing the photos, maybe leave the necks in, and then if they want to cut them out, they can, or if they want to put the trachea over the top of it, then they could do that too. So I told the parents, if they could just make sure that they get as straight on of a face shot as possible, without the head cocked to the side or looking to the side, it worked the best. All right, so about done here. And his was pretty straightforward. This is my son, Manning. And so you can see a little bit of his ear didn't really come through. So I'm going to pick and just try to match that perfectly. It's a little too big. Okay. So it would naturally go about like that. All right, except that doesn't look right. So maybe a smaller line. Sometimes you just have to play with it because it's not exactly right. Sometimes, like you can see that, good grief, his jawline is really missing over here. So I'm just going to go from here and attach it to this area over here, okay? And if for some reason their nose lines don't go in so well, you know, you could define that a little bit better if you wanted to. Sometimes it puts these weird lines on their face for some reason, especially it will exaggerate freckles. Freckles are awesome, but it exaggerates them and it can cause issues in the final picture. So this is the smudge tool, and it's the fastest way to get rid of weird lines. I must not have it on the right setting. Hold on a second. Smudge size. Okay. And so what I do is I draw from the color toward that mark that I don't want, and it will get rid of it. Another way to do is to pick a color that's close to it and then to brush away the marks. I probably spent a lot more time on these than I should have, but I wanted the kids to love them. So anyway, that's the basic process. Whoops. Of doing those. And then, because some printers will turn this transparent background into black when it's printing, that would be a ton of ink. So that's why I always end up with taking and turning that to white, not just to transparent. And then, whoa. I must have touched that on accident. Let's see. Brush. But anyway, that's the process, and then we've printed them out. I'm sure everybody knows, but don't forget your Office Depot discount printing. You could get them printed for 2 cents a piece, 4 cents a piece if you move up to a nicer paper, which I do suggest. We did 28-pound paper for this, and it was definitely needed, I think, especially with the way some of them colored. So the flesh-colored crayons, I think it's called the Colors of the World that they sell, is what we used for our kiddos. And then what you can do, if they have really light eyes, or if you just want them to be able to do it better, you can go into the fill here and bring down the opacity or opacity, however you say that, and you can lighten them up so that they can color them more. And you can go as light as you want, because the Colors of the World, or those flesh colored ones, if you get the larger pack, it actually has eye color and hair color on, as well as skin colors. All right, and that is it. Now, to get them the right size, or the size that you saw on our finished product, I did crop it down pretty close to their heads, and that made them, you know, like the size of the paper, and that was really, it turned out really nice. I like the size of it. Okay. All right, and that is it. If you have any questions, let me know.